All right, welcome back to the kickoff. England are through to the semi-final of Euro 2024. Lads, we all seen the game yesterday. One thing I really want to start off with is the pundits were raving about the performance. At halftime, Gary Lineker, more of the same. I think it was Micah Richards talking about the courage and just overall massive amounts of positivity. And obviously previously up till now, we've all been, aside from joy, a little negative, a little disappointed. We want to see more of the real levels of these players. Was yesterday warranted with the praise from the pundits or not?
I'll start. I don't think we played great yesterday. What I would say is I do think progressively we've probably played better in each match. We needed a little bit more than we had seen in the group stages to be able to get past Slovakia. We did give a little bit more, yeah. Not much, not enough that we're going to be happy with it, but we gave a little bit more. And then we did the same against Switzerland. By the way, let's remember, Switzerland are a decent side, man. And despite the fact that, okay, we only actually managed a draw with them in the course of the game, I do think that, you know, they've proven in this tournament so far that they can beat good teams and that they can definitely play to the standard that is above maybe where we rank them as a nation. So I understand where the praise is coming in. And ultimately, when you do take a step back, and not saying you should do this in football, but you disregard the performance and say we are in a semi-final, I can very much see where the praise is coming from. But in terms of praising the performance as a whole, I'm not going to sit here and say it was a great performance.
Josh, what are you saying?
So it's interesting, mate. Let's go and see what the pundits actually said about this. So they said that we need to commend Southgate. I don't know anyone in the country that's commending Southgate right now based on that performance. Maybe Joey Knight is the only one. They said that he was bold in his subs. I feel like we might have been watching a different game. They said that we were brave, that Southgate was brave and that the players were brave. I do feel that I do live in a bit of opposite land at the moment, because the subs came after we went 1-0 down, and basically it was only for the good graces of an unbelievable Saka moment that we even came back into the game. It wasn't anything to do with the subs at all.
Yeah, the subs were reactionary. They weren't proactive. It was very much, oh shit, we're in trouble again. We got to react now. And he'd not taken the opportunity to change the game in the same way as the Switzerland manager had been proactive.
Yeah, yeah. And to say that, you know, he's brave, I think almost when you set up the team, that it was almost the opposite of brave. He's moved to a back five almost, you know, with these sort of hybrid setups. He's kept players that are underperforming in Foden. I think we've got to have a conversation about Kane now as well, which we have to go into more detail on. But individually, I don't think he's being brave at all. I think he's sort of playing the safe option. Now, as Joey has always said, you can absolutely go through tournaments and not be brave and still get through and still get to finals. And basically in tournaments, that's sometimes what you have to do. But with the quality that we have, I do just want our manager to be a bit more progressive, and I don't want him to always be reactionary. And so for me, just putting my hands up there, I was really confused about the way that pundits are saying. And do you think that maybe this sort of briefing that Harry Kane has said about you can't keep getting on our backs, do you think that's actually affected the pundits and what they're saying here? Because I feel like it is.
I think the pundits understand what is probably going on here. And the probability, as much as people don't want to admit it, is what I've said from the start, is that England are probably going to be in the final of this tournament. And the pundits are starting to understand that England are probably going to be in the final of this tournament. And when you get to the final, and this is like, I'm not saying that I won't be critical of the team along the run, but I've understood this from the start. I have felt from the start that England were going to be in the final. I've said it on the kickoff, round the table, on the calls with you guys. I've said it all along, right? Because I said this from the start, I don't want to criticise the team the whole way, say the performance has been shit, and then us get to the final and win it and go, well, there you go. So ultimately, I think that the pundits are now starting to realise that the further we progress in this tournament, maybe it is going to be more helpful to back the team.
And not only helpful, but nobody wants to be the guy who sat there publicly criticising the whole way through, and then they win it, and then you look like you didn't have a clue what you're talking about. But honestly, both things can be true. We can have a ridiculously bad manager who is blessed with insanely talented footballers and isn't getting the best out of them, but still somehow manages to limp over the line in each game because of that individual brilliance from a Bellingham, from a Saka each time. We can play badly and still win this tournament. It doesn't mean that Southgate has got the best out of the players. And that's actually the frustration. And I understand that no one wants to be that person, fair play. And they have personal relationships with these footballers. A lot of them know them. But going back to the braveness of the team selection, what we were expecting was a total change using wing-backs, putting Saka left side, playing maybe Trent Alexander-Arnold on the right side, and having a lot more width and a lot more forward-thinking football going on. But we didn't even get that. All he did essentially was move in another centre-back. Nothing changed. Now, I want to give this to KJ now. What were your thoughts on the performance, mate?
Well, you know what? It was in the first half, I was a little bit excited because at first, we was all watching the game, trying to work out where's everyone playing. First of all, I thought Saka, because they had Saka down as a left wing back or something. And I was like, then I'm seeing Carl, I couldn't work out what was going on. And he quickly realized, wait, Saka's playing on the right hand side. And it was like Foden was a bit in a bit of a free roam. And in the first half, I'll be honest with you guys, I was a bit like, this is the first time that we have got Foden, Bellingham into the game. They've had a somewhat, well, not a nice tournament. I have not enjoyed it. Kane, you just can't even, that's just another problem altogether. But then the first half, I thought, we can build on this. So I was a little bit excited. But then again, what happens? Other managers are proactive. Other managers are going to work out what they want to do. They had a great idea for Mbolo. As soon as Mbolo picked up the ball, 2 players will be on him. Declan Rice will be there. There'll be 2 to deal with him. So he never really got space. The only time he got space was when he does really score that goal. Or you see in the second half, they really started to use other players to build up their attacks. Second half is when you start to understand Gareth Southgate is the luckiest manager in the world. He doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't. No one can tell me that guy really knows what he's doing. I feel like when he put on those subs yesterday, it was beyond desperation. I think he put on Luke Shaw just to tell everyone, look, I played him, so don't get onto me. I think he thought he's getting home. And it was an honest moment of brilliance from Bukayo Saka. That was something special. And there's been loads of those moments. And now I've got to the phase with this England team where, well, this is the most luckiest manager in the world. Let's see how far luck can take us, because Joey, owe you an apology. I was literally, when we were talking before, I thought England were going to go out in the first round of knockout stages. I thought we've got no chance. And many a times in this tournament, it looks like we're going home. And somehow he's rescuing it. The Gordon thing still is confusing for me. I think there must be an issue there. The Trent thing was surprising as well because Kyle Walker didn't do enough to start in the game before. I just think this manager is just totally freestyling, but it's working. So who are we to cuss? Who are we to
Can I say one thing when we talk about luck, boys?
Yeah.
Just one point when we talk about luck, yeah? 3rd semi-final for Gareth Southgate in 4 tournaments. Now, they say that lightning doesn't strike twice, but I'll give you 2. Right? But 4 tournaments and 3 semi-finals now. The stats,
is this a managerial masterclass though? Because when you do say that, we remember what we're seeing. So it's not like he's doing these amazing tactical moves.
It's not a managerial. It's not a managerial masterclass in the slightest. But it doesn't need to be a managerial masterclass to win the tournament. Guys, can anyone tell me who was Greece's manager that won the Euros? None of you know, do you? I don't know either, by the way. I'm not trying to be the clever one here. I ain't got a fucking clue who Greece's manager was either. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
No,
we're in the semi-finals.
Here's the thing, right? Can I just come back on this side? I really need to come back on this because you know what, right? We can sit there and go, Southgate's a terrible manager, but you don't need to be a great manager to win a tournament. And Joey with a great point about Greece's manager, right, back in the day. But ultimately, if we had a manager within those 4 tournaments who was competent, who was even an average Premier League manager, we would already have 1 trophy under our belt and we'd be fancying our chances in this one. So it depends on how you come at it. And for me, I look at what is barely a championship level manager, if that. I mean, relegation was what he knew beforehand and he never had a top job for good reason. So for me right now, I'm looking at another opportunity wasted potentially rather than Southgate finding a way
blind us through.
Fabio Capello was a Champions League winner, wasn't he? Fabio Capello was a Champions League winner, wasn't he?
But the problem was, Fabio Capello, in my opinion, did not have the level of poor competition that Southgate has been served up religiously. Fabio Capello was playing top teams. Look at the old Brazil, the old Italy, the old France. It's not recognisable now. We are the ones who actually have a lot of the superstars, and yet we don't play like it. So context is everything. And what I am fed up of is watching my television and people completely ignoring this and forgetting the way things used to be and looking at Southgate's had an unbelievable run.
Yeah, while he's done that, this guy is now 2 games away from a knighthood. Literally, he's 2 games away from becoming Gareth. You
Get it now.
Oh God, it can't happen.
That's what he's going to be called. You know, he's like, it's mental. I look at things. I look at what's going on.
I'm so torn. Honestly, lads, I can't handle this because on the one hand, yes, I'm really wanting England to win something in my lifetime. But on the other hand, if that prat gets all of the fucking glory,
why not?
Literally great managers, Sir Bobby Robson, my God, he was a great manager. If he had this team, we would have cleared up the last fucking 4 tournaments.
No, but it's going to be factually correct.
I don't know, man.
England's most successful manager soon. He's got, literally, it's all like, the stats are all lining up for him to be England's most successful manager soon.
Okay, so let's talk about stats. Let's talk about stats, baby. Let's talk about the fact that we again, it takes us 80 plus minutes to register a motherfucking shot on target, lads. And look, international football, and look, the whole tournament's been terrible. So I'm not actually, criticizing us as much as I could maybe for the level of lacking in shots on target and whatnot. But it is hard to watch. And 2 games in a row, the first shot on target we score. What are we lacking in being able to just cut teams open in a way that all of these players have shown us for their clubs that they can do? Why are we not cutting through more?
Easy, I would have to say.
And now, a word from our sponsors. Now, I get DMs all the time from men asking me, Bri, why can I not keep a woman? And I've got to be honest, I look at some of your profile pictures and I see the way that's groomed. God knows what down below is looking like. So if you want to get a bit of repeat business, and I mean that purely in a metaphorical sense, I hope no money's changing hands here, you got to make sure you're looking after yourself. And that's where Manscaped come in. Manscaped will have your balls shining so well, they'll look like a set of mirrors, right? Women will be looking at them doing their makeup in them, for Christ's sakes. And I know some of you lot are a bit worried about the idea of taking a trimmer to the ball sack, but trust me, this thing is unbelievable. NASA couldn't make something as good as this. So not only are you safe in taking this to the ball sack, but it's also very fast, very efficient. It's not something where it's like, oh, you have to clear an hour out your schedule just to trim your balls. This is brilliant. And there's 3 different trimmers you can choose from. There's the Lawnmower 3.0 Plus, the 4.0 Pro, and the 5.0 Ultra. And each trimmer is equipped with skin-safe technology, an LED spotlight, and unique features for different grooming needs. And they're waterproof, so you can hop in the shower and get everything done nice and clean, jump out, you're good to go. And if you're not sure which one to get, the 3.0 is like your basic trimmer where you can just get rid of everything and you're good to go. Or if you want the more advanced ones, the 4.0 and the 5.0 are worth a look. So if you're still showing up at date night unkept and not ready for action, step your game up, lads. Go to manscaped.com and use the code THEKICKOFF, all one word, all block capitals, THEKICKOFF, for 20% off and free shipping. Thanks to Manscaped for looking after us and looking after you lot. But for now, enjoy the video.
We got a striker issue. We got a Kane that wants to play. Got Kane that wants to play as a midfielder. Defenders love what Kane is doing. You're right in front of me. I can see where you are.
He's playing central defensive midfield. Yeah. He's not even a number 10 anymore.
Amazing clearance, amazing block. There's one time he's literally defended, total defending. But now we just need someone again getting ahead of the striker, running him behind. You're not getting that movement. Is not happening from Kane, and it's hurting us. It's affecting us. We need to be playing on the shoulder and forcing teams backwards. Like I would like to see the exact same formation we played in the first half with a Watkins, with an Ivan Toney. But he has to understand just how Ronaldo started hindering his nation. At the moment, for some strange reason, it's not working with Kane, and enough's enough.
Were you guys surprised that he took him off?
We did see Trent Alexander-Arnold doing the old with his mates afterwards, and he goes, he didn't want to take one. He didn't want to take one. Now, I've always thought that Harry Kane is the guy, at least in front of goal. Outside of the box, he might as well be in a wheelchair, bless him. But in the box, he's actually ready to step up and have a goal.
It's a joke.
So I wouldn't have thought it was him who Trent was suggesting one of them wanted to come off before the penalties to not have to take the responsibility of it. Do you think that was Kane, or do you think that was someone else?
Wasn't he talking about, I've heard rumours that was Foden, because he replaced Foden, didn't he? I heard rumours that it was Foden.
Can I just say though, by the way, as someone watching who wants England to win, we had 5 penalty takers. Yeah. Would you guys have put Kane ahead of anyone in there?
Yes.
Because for me personally, the one that I could maybe say, the one that I could maybe go with, and this might sound mad because he scored his penalty, but Bellingham, I don't always see, he's not the Real Madrid penalty taker. You don't always see him taken from his club. But in terms of Cole Palmer, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Ivan Toney, and who took our other penalty, Bukayo Saka. In terms of them 4, I wouldn't have Harry Kane take a penalty.
Historically, your number 9, your main goal scorer, takes the first penalty, and also Harry Kane, what is he, the record goal scorer for England? Yeah. I grew up watching Alan Shearer. Every single tournament, Alan Shearer, first penalty taker, you're guaranteed he scores as well. So, for Kane to not be there, especially when we know Harry Kane is the golden boy of Gareth.
Yes.
I mean, Harry Kane could murder a woman tomorrow. He'd be starting the next game. I don't understand why he wasn't there to take the penalties. But maybe Southgate was thinking we need fresh legs on up front to actually try and grab a goal here. And maybe I personally seen a lot on Twitter about people saying it must have been Phil Foden because if you subbed in for him, that's why you got on the pitch. And if there is a thing about Phil Foden, it's that.
I don't think so. I think there was 2 players that, I'm not saying they bottled it, but there's 2 players that had raised eyebrows at. Kane doesn't really get touched. Remember when the manager kind of holds him up? It's the last 2 or certain minutes. You've got enough to take a penalty. You've got enough. Everyone was shocked to see, wait, Kane's coming off. You've kept him on the whole time. If Kane wasn't one of your penalty takers, then why let him play all of extra time? That doesn't make sense because Kane wasn't doing anything. So you say Kane was only there to get us Kane was supposed to get us the penalties and score. Well, then if he was not going to play, you bring on Ivan Toney earlier, surely, and let him help us in extra time.
Question, lads. Whoever it was, whether it was Foden or Kane, and I think we can all ascertain from the surprise of Trent Alexander-Arnold that it was one of his babies, right? It was one of Gareth Southgate's favourite.
Yeah.
If you can't take a penalty in these circumstances, you're not elite, in my opinion. You haven't got that elite mentality. I'm leaning towards Foden for some reason. I don't know why. I feel like it was all over Twitter. Maybe that's in my head, but also the way Foden has been behaving. Why are you here? Why are you even playing for England right now? You are a shadow of the player that you've been all season, and I wouldn't care. I really ate my words on Phil Foden because last season I thought this kid really turned up into a big game match-winning player, whereas before for Man City, the other guys had been more of the main men, and he'd been the icing on the cake. Now he'd become the fucking cake maker. He'd been the man of the hour for them and turned up in ways I never expected. And in this tournament, I'm watching one of the most exciting footballers I've ever seen for Newcastle United sit on the bench in Anthony Gordon and wondering what on earth has he done to piss Gareth Southgate off, because the 21 goals and assists this season for Anthony Gordon is a stunning return for a team who have been struggling throughout the season, and he's been doing it a lot of the time on his own in big games. And yet Foden, he's offering nothing. Why is he not getting a chance?
The only counter that I'd say to that, Brian, is in the 5 at the back system, I don't know where Anthony Gordon fits in. I don't know if he does, because the only place that you'd be able to put him is a wing back role, wouldn't you?
Well, you're suggesting that Anthony Gordon though can't play, I guess, as one of the 10s, and which is a fair point because I've not seen him there that often. However, as for the England under-21s, which he won the tournament with, and he was player of the tournament, he played as a false 9, which isn't a kick in the arse away from a 10. And also with his pace, with his shooting accuracy, and the fact that he likes to commit men and drive forward, he'd be the perfect foil for a Harry Kane, in my opinion.
You know why?
And that's why I'm so confused. There was pictures come out on Twitter when they were all in the huddle of Anthony Gordon looking depressed, really, just not involved. And you're wondering, has there been an issue?
Why I'm reluctant to go in on Foden too much, because I do think Foden's underwhelmed, right? I think it was the Denmark game, a couple of times he was coming central in that match and actually he was looking quite good. But ultimately, it's irrelevant because Gareth Southgate doesn't want him in the centre. He wants him out wide, right? But the reason I'm a little bit reluctant now is we saw Luke Shaw come on off the bench last night, right? I think that Gareth Southgate will start Luke Shaw in the next match. I really do. If I'm Gareth Southgate, I do anyway. If he comes off injured or something like that, then so be it. But I would start Luke Shaw in the next match. And I think that there's a distinct possibility that when you start Luke Shaw, you do see a different version of Phil Foden. Now, I'm not hanging my hat on it, and I'm not saying that it definitely happened, but we've got to understand that Phil Foden has had Kieran Trippier behind him, and as a creative player, defensively, we've been okay in this tournament. We're about to play Holland. We've conceded less goals than Holland, but when you've got Kieran Trippier behind you, who's not really going to overlap, and if he does, he's not going to take defenders with him. He doesn't want to play it on his left foot up the flank tier. He wants to play it on his right foot. I think that maybe we see Phil Foden have a little bit more importance in that next game if you put Luke Shaw behind him, and obviously our hands have been tied to this point. So I don't want to go in on him too much from that aspect, but I'd agree with you all. Like, if you had said to me pre-tournament, who do I want to see there? I openly said to you guys that I wanted to see Anthony Gordon there. So I can see it from both sides, but I do think that we'll see a little bit more out of Phil Foden if he has a natural left footer behind him.
I don't think Foden is the real problem here. It's honestly Kane, guys. What Foden was doing, what I saw from Foden yesterday, especially in the first half, being in different pockets, he had the free roam and he allowed Bellingham to play. This is the first time that I saw these guys interlinking and looking decent. Kane is the literal problem with this team, and it's sad to say it because we're all holding on and waiting for this moment from Kane. He's not in the box. You lot saw the cutback, but Bukayo Saka done 2 or 3 cutbacks. You look up and say, where's the striker? But we're talking about an elite striker in Harry Kane. You're meant to be there, mate. You're not playing for Spurs when you have to save the day and do everything for the team. You're playing for England where there's players that you expect. I feel like he doesn't trust his squad, which doesn't make any sense. And I'm sick of...
I think that you've touched on something. You've nailed that there, KJ, because if you look at Bayern Munich, Kane is a poacher. He sits on the goal, hugs the goal, right?
Yeah.
Now, he has an attitude for England almost like, I know better. It's as if this is my team, I'll do what I want sort of attitude. But you're literally failing miserably. And we've got Ollie Watkins, who's got 32 goals and assists for Aston Villa last season, who undoubtedly, in my opinion, would be playing better than this. I mean, just is not even up for a debate, is it?
And Ivan Toney, by the way, comes on and he looks really good as well. Like, I think we're all sleeping a bit on him. Like, I feel we are a better, more functional team with Ivan Toney. He comes on, he holds the ball up really well. Go on, Joey.
I'd pick Tony. Sorry to interrupt you, mate. That'd be who I'd pick. We're all talking about Ollie Watkins, and obviously he hasn't been given the opportunity as much. He came on in one game. I think it was the Denmark game when he changed to front three. But actually, in terms of the cameos we've seen, the glimpses we've seen, Ivan Toney's probably the one I would pick there. And I actually think that obviously we don't want our number 9 with his back to goal, but with his back to goal, Ivan Toney's link-up play with the other two is going to be better for me than Ollie Watkins is. But the problem, right? And this is the problem. People think I'm mad when I say this, and people have I saw one of the top comments was Joey's the reason why people like Southgate are in a job. So when Southgate spoke about Calvin Phillips and got all that heat, I know what I'm about to say is going to make me look mad. But
here we go.
Harry Kane's missing Raheem Sterling in there, mate.
Okay.
I don't know why your jaw dropped, Josh. Harry, I'm not saying I think Raheem Sterling's a player at the tournament, but when you look, right, and we're going on about the lack of creativity from Harry Kane, right? When has Phil Foden ever really been someone that assists Kane? Like when you look at Kane over the years for his England team, it's been Rashford, it's been Sterling, it's sometimes been Grealish. It's never been Foden that he's.
But Foden's never. Look at Foden's record for England. The goals and assists are absolutely pathetic. He does not deliver for England. He never has delivered for. The whole thing that I always used to have to listen to whenever I'd be sick to death of watching Raheem Sterling was, well, he always delivers for England. Well, if that's the case and we're going off of that, Phil Foden, what the fuck are you offering? And ironically, you're talking about Raheem Sterling. The closest player we have to him in that squad is Anthony Gordon. Without a shadow of a doubt. Without a doubt.
You know what? That is what I mean from a stylistic aspect. I'm not saying that I think Raheem Sterling can fly out to Germany now and be doing the business for England. I'm just saying stylistically, in terms of that sort of player, Kane did. And by the way, it's funny there, right? Because as I say, everyone's jaws dropped there. But at the last Euros, Raheem Sterling was in awful form going into that tournament.
And he done
a lot
the job.
of people, he was England's player of the tournament there. So I'm just saying for that point there, that I do think like that a player like Raheem Sterling, even the version of Raheem Sterling that we've seen this season, right, is a better player to link up with Harry Kane on that side. So I just don't think that the Kane thing's working with.
You've got that in Gordon, though. What we're gonna see in this semi-final when we really get to it is a proactive manager versus a reactive manager. You've seen how I'm not the biggest Wild Weghorst fan. Obviously, we had him at the club, but he even realized, well, you offer a new dimension. You've seen how many times they've gone to Wild. They've said, all right, we got Memphis playing up front, but we will change things. Yesterday, 46 minute, Wild Weghorst comes on. They bring on Xerxes. They making, you have to use your front line. And for some strange reason, Gareth, was you not shocked when we got to 60th, 70th minute and we still haven't made a sub? Like, we still haven't done it.
I should be shocked. I should be. We're not anymore.
No.
When we enter extra time and those defenders on the opposite side are looking tired, and I remember the blistering pace of Anthony Gordon, and you're just thinking, I've never known a moment like this in international football where a guy is being so criminally underused. But look, I've moaned enough about that. I do want to give some credit.
Let's go.
Kobbie Mainoo. What a player. I mean, he's bringing it. He's actually putting some of these lads are getting put to shame by this kid. And, when he first burst onto the scene, I was all on the Lewis Miley hype train, and I was kind of hoping, that they would. Kobbie Mainoo is there right now. He's unbelievable. And also, I have to say, Saka, best player on the pitch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
by an absolute mark.
Can I say with Kobbie Mainoo, by the way, right? Kobbie Mainoo's still suffering in this England team, right? We're going on about how good he is. He could be better. He could be better because this England team, to say they're pragmatic would be an understatement. Like, they're very, very cautious. And the amount of times, right, that, say, for example, Declan Rice can pass to Kobbie Mainoo. He's in a real tight space, Kobbie Mainoo, but that's his game. He don't care that he's in a tight space. Pass to him. Just trust him. There's not enough trust going into Kobbie Mainoo at the minute. And I feel like, again, with this team being a team that has been sculpted over, 3-4 tournaments now, really, I feel like if this was Kobbie Mainoo's second tournament in the fold, you'd see him be even more important for England, because there's so many times the ball needs to go to him, but we choose the safe option because we see players around him and we don't trust his ability yet, through lack of actually playing with him. I believe that if these boys had played with him more, we'd see him pulling even more strings.
Well, do you know what's funny? I just want to give you lot the stats on this one. Statman KG, who would have thought that I would have done this, but it's a Man United player. Obviously, listen, 100% of his tackles won, 97% pass accuracy, 49 touches, 33 out of 34 passes completed, 4 out of 5 drills won, 3 interceptions, 2 shots, 2 tackles, 1 key pass. This guy is honestly, it's mad because you don't want to go too far and call him generational, but some of the stuff we're seeing is mental. Some of the stuff we're seeing in terms of just, he looks so relaxed. I'm looking at him in the tunnel and I'm like, you don't look like you're getting to play in a quarterfinal right now. There's nothing, you don't look as if like, you just, all right, just go and do something for
England. His football brain.
Yeah.
It's his football brain that impresses me. When you're talking about receiving the ball under pressure.
Yes.
Not only has he got the cool composure to handle that in the middle of the park, but he has like a 3D map in his brain for everyone's position. And, I really hate the fact that he plays for Man United because this kid is fucking great, like, honestly.
And honestly, there was a time when I thought that take him out and put in, like, I thought drop Bellingham back. And, I was thinking, maybe it'd be better for England, Bellingham folding that midfield. But Kobe he's a mainstay in this team now. And I feel like we're slowly gathering towards, it's just make that one more decision. If it's Tony, if it's Watkins, one more decision. Cause guys, like, I am actually starting to believe that maybe we could stink our way into the final.
Right? When you're saying there, one more decision, this is the mad thing, isn't it? Like, we feel like a manager and a team should go into a tournament with all the answers, don't we?
Yeah.
And actually, what we're seeing in this tournament is we are seeing an evolution that's actually happening of this England team in this tournament. Okay, the first one was Gahey, wasn't it? The first one was Mark Gahey. That was the first answer we found in the tournament, right? Maybe last night we found the answer that we always sort of knew, but he was injured in Luke Shaw. Okay, we found it going forward as we've gone through this tournament. We've been solving little things, and it hasn't happened and hasn't been as drastic as many of us would have hoped, but we are solving these little things. I think KG is exactly right. There are still a few of these little puzzles we need to solve, and obviously we got 2 games to do it, but I do think that we're starting to find it here. We found it in Kobe Mainoo, we found it in Mark Gahey, potentially.
Costa was amazing as well. Costa was amazing as well. We have to say he's brilliant yesterday.
Should we move on to the penalties, lads? I want to give a bit of credit to the gambler himself, Ivan Toney. The fucking ice in his veins to keep his eyes locked on the goalkeeper, not even look at the football and blast this penalty in. I've seen people do that before in regular games or what, but on the stage that he was on, balls of steel, mate. Fair fucks.
We have to talk about Saka as well, don't we? Man of the match for a reason. The redemption arc of this penalty was immense. And
Can I really talk as the black delegate, please? Can I talk as the manager, a member of the black delegation? Okay, I must say the IC free tax was heavy. As a black man watching this, I was shitting myself. I'm going to be honest with you lot, because we know it's turn off your notifications. You've seen what's happened before. You've seen the journey. I looked at the penalty. I goes, and you have to understand, when I started looking at who they said number 1, I think Cole Palmer was number 1, and then after it got the tax was heavy, bro. And I'm looking at thinking, oh my goodness, it's gonna happen again. We're seconds away from, and Ivan told, look, you brought Trent out of the cold. Trent hasn't played. Trent, and he's done that with Sancho and them lot before, where they didn't have a kick in the game, and it's like, all right, save us for the penalties. Luckily, these guys have ice in their veins. Luckily, this was Saka's David Beckham moment, when you let down a nation, but then you saved the nation. There was so many big Ivan
Did
Toney.
you see Jadon Sancho's message to him?
Yes.
Did you see the Jadon Sancho message to him? Yeah?
Saw that. Because
was good.
in there.
No,
What you have to
what
understand
did it
is, these black players, like it or not, he said, you've well done. You basically almost thanked him for he thanked him for himself, and Marcus said, you've done something for us here. Yeah. And he's not even been selected or thingy, but this thing means more. You know where it is. Again, letting down the nation is one thing, but then what comes with it after is heavy. So for Ivan Toney to step up and take that level of penalty, knowing, let's say it went wrong, he weren't thinking about that. He just said, you know what? I've got this. All of those players, to Bellingham, everyone stepped up and they did their job. Very proud. When
you said about Bukayo Saka letting down the nation there, that's if you're assuming that there's more people in the nation watching the game that are idiots than not idiots, because Bukayo Saka never let down a nation for me. But for Bukayo Saka to have missed that penalty, right? He wouldn't have took that penalty if it wasn't for Bukayo Saka. Bukayo Saka transformed us in that tournament after he came in that second group game and then was a mainstay of that team. People didn't think Saka was going to get on the pitch, by the way, for that Euro tournament. So I get it's a brilliant thing to have righted the wrongs, but I never felt like he let the nation down in the first place.
That was the rhetoric. That was just the rhetoric, not of you lot. I'm saying outside of here, that's all you said. You let your nation down, this, that, and the other. I don't even think the Rashford and Sancho's, because you see that tweet, they haven't recovered from that mentally. Saka has. He's progressed. He's moved on, which is fantastic. So that's just talking about the mental fortitude.
Also in terms of performances.
Yeah.
and to credit Saka, he hasn't just come back from that now. He came back from that from then till now.
Yes.
He has been performing like a man on fire, a man possessed. Whereas if you look at Marcus Rashford, if you look at Jadon Sancho, have they been the same since then? I'm not saying that penalty shootout is the sole reason for the decline in Sancho and Rashford. But what a man Saka has proven himself to be. And to see that big smile on his face afterwards was a lovely moment, I will say.
Sorry. I got a point in there because it's an important point, and probably Man United fans might look at me funny on this one, but the way the two clubs looked after the players when they come back was totally different. The fans and the club. Arsenal wrapped their arms around Saka. They did. They still let him take the penalties. They literally that was the perfect way to look after that talent. They literally said, come on in, kind of like how we did with Beckham when he had his issue with England. You know, we just said,
Argentina.
we're going to cover you and nothing gets in. And Arsenal, all they've done is rebuild their talent. And that's why he's able to perform like that. Well, in Manchester, Marcus has been up and down. Sancho's is not connected himself well enough. So you got to credit the Arsenal setup because they've done well there to get that player to feel that way and ready to take a penalty like that.
And also, just a reminder, because I know he's had an unbelievable season. So, naturally, when a player has such a great season, we kind of almost acknowledge them as like a seasoned pro. Cole Palmer is a baby. He's set up first. I mean, stepping up first is without doubt the most nerve-wracking of all of them. Maybe last if you're in sudden death. But, mate, Cole Palmer's special. He is, and I don't mean that as an insult. The guy is unbelievable. And also, for Trent Alexander-Arnold, at that moment, the last penalty, I remember thinking, fuck me, mate. And he hit that like Shearer in his prime, bang, top corner, as if it was just another day. And look, another player, Jordan Pickford. He's got a hell of a penalty shootout record, to be fair. I wrote this down. England have won 1 out of 7 penalty shootouts before Jordan Pickford. With him, they've won 3 out of 4. And the one they lost, he saved 2 penalties in that one. So this guy, even if he is a Mackham, I got to give him credit. He delivers for England.
You know, when you talk about penalties there, right? You talk about penalties. And growing up, right, for all of us here, growing up, England didn't win penalty shootouts.
Not at all.
If it went to penalties, you might as well turn the TV off because we're not fucking winning it.
Yeah.
England don't win penalty shootouts. Tell you what else England don't do. England don't really score last gasp winners when games are going against them. Why is the reason we celebrate the David Beckham against Greece free kick so heavily such a massive, massive moment? Because it doesn't happen that much. And now what we're seeing is England do win penalty shootouts. England can play shit all game and then eventually get a winner in the end. The actual DNA of what this team can do is changing. And we would love to see it change in a way of we're playing beautiful football. But ultimately, you don't always get what you deserve in life because of the talent you've got at your access. You get what you get, sort of thing. So we are seeing that these big moments and they're changing, right? And I don't think that can do anything but instill a confidence in players because now that is even more reason now. If we go 1-0 down to Holland and if we're in the 80th minute and the Netherlands are leading us 1-0, it's even more incentivization to never now give up because you know what can happen late on in games of this team. That's something we didn't have growing up.
And look, I've been really down on Gareth Southgate and I do think we need to move on from him. But the one thing that I will say is that he has instilled a mentality in the team that has driven them to have these success. As much as we can say it's the individual quality of the players that step up and have to go and take these penalties, and all of them, quite frankly, I wasn't really concerned with all of them because I do back all of them at this point because they've had the record now for each of their clubs, etc. But you have to say he has instilled like a sports psychology element of this where the boys go and they go into this environment, which is a high pressure environment. I would be nowhere near a penalty in that situation. I would have been saying I want a sub, but they all go there and they do it. Do you know what I mean? And, I think we do have to give him some credit for that because as much as I don't think he's good enough, I think he's instilled a really good mentality there with the boys.
Let's end this on looking forward to the semi-final. Thoughts on that game, the opponent, and expectations, lads. What are you saying?
I'm confident. I'm actually confident, and I know I've been confident.
Shocked me there.
I know I'm being confident in every game. But one thing I would say is when I've watched Netherlands in this tournament so far, they don't mind really trying to take the game by the scruff of the neck and take it. And when we spoke about Saka, one of the reasons why Saka had such a good match is why? Because he had grass ahead of him when he got on the ball. Because he was in that wing-back position, he had space to run into. One of the reasons we haven't had space to run into is very, very often teams have either played a low block against us or like Switzerland yesterday, they attacked. But when we got into positions when we were attacking, they did have 11 men behind the ball and they were compact. And I'm not saying that Netherlands don't have the ability to do that, but I do think that their game plan will be different when it comes to, it's a semi-final, go out and win the match. And not only do that, it's more incentivization to go and win the match within 90 minutes as well, because you're going to have to play 5 days later in the final. You want those fresh legs, right? So they will go for us in that match. And I do think that that's going to benefit us even more. And when you look at us defensively in the tournament, man, we've been good. We've been one of the best defensive teams, not just from goals conceded, but also from shots faced and things like that. So I'm quite confident going into that match. What do you guys think?
Anyone worried? Anyone feeling not confident?
Me, totally. You have to, and sometimes I like to stay the same throughout a tournament. I haven't believed and I've been surprised and I'm like, I'm going to stick with this. If this gonna make it work, I'm good with that. But then I'm worried on so many reasons because again, Holland are a team. Netherlands are a team that they've let themselves down. They've been perennial underachievers for many years. Like, what is this? Their first semi-final in like 16 or something years. Like, it's a long time. They'll be serious about this one. And Coleman is a proactive manager. You're going to see him trying to influence the game. You're going to see they went a goal down yesterday. Like, we're coming up against the best team we're playing in this tournament. So yes, I'm extremely nervous. They're going to definitely want to beat us. I'm just hoping, again, I'm doing this with the hope that we get over the line anyway. We stink our way to a final and stink our way to lifting the cup as well. Literally. I don't care how it looks now.
Can I just say something about Koeman's Netherlands? You mentioned him there, right? When they step up against bigger teams, they really ain't great, because I've been looking at their form, right, going into this one. And yes, good wins over Turkey and Romania, but also Austria, who for me were a bit of a dark horse in this tournament. It's almost a home tournament for them. Fair enough, you can forgive them, but they lost to them. They couldn't beat France. Then, when you look back through their sort of qualifying campaign and Koeman's time under their manager, when they faced Germany, they've lost. When they faced France, they've lost. They've lost a couple of matches against the big boys 4-0 as well. When they faced a lot of the better teams, and I'm looking back to go, okay, maybe for the most part it's happening, but they haven't really got wins over any of the big
nations. Are we going to play like big boys though, Joey? That's the question. Are we going to play like big boys?
Joey, we'd lose all of those games that you just mentioned.
We didn't in the last Euros, did we? Because we beat Germany. So
I was wondering.
Hold on, no. That's not just let that someone slip under the carpet. We lose all those games, but the last time we played Germany in the Euros, we beat them. So I just named a team that beat Netherlands, and we beat them. And on Thursday morning, when we do the call, I'm going to be sitting here buzzing again because I'm going to be out on the beers and watched England beat Netherlands.
Okay, I hope you're right. One of the concerns after extra time against Switzerland, our XG was 0.68 to their 1.51, and that is not a coincidence. The game before, our XG in the 90 minutes was also worse than our opposition, and I just wonder with an aggressive, more adventurous Holland side, if when they get their opportunities, they will be a lot more difficult for us to hold up against. And our lack of attacking prowess, despite all the players we've got, is going to finally catch up to us against what will be in terms of name value, the best side we've played so far. So I'm worried, but what I will say is the positivity of Joey and the fact that we keep just getting away with it is giving me a bit more hope. Josh, final words from you, mate. Any expectation? Do you think we're going out or not?
I was just going to say, mate, it's not like the Netherlands defence is any good against our attack. They've only got, Van der Ven, Van Dijk, Ake. They've got some average players at the back. I wouldn't worry about us scoring.
Good players, but they've conceded more than us, boys, eh?
Yeah, fair enough. But
conceded more than we have at the tournament. Conceded more shots faced as well. More touches in the opposition box as well.
Just keep going, Joey. Just get you. I know you've got all these stats for days.
Hopefully
I would
Kane gets an
summarise it like
opposition
this.
box.
I think we're going to completely cancel each other out. I think it's going to be a 0-0 and we're going to have to rely on penalties again. That's my prediction for this game.
My God.
Same.
Well, honestly, if penalties is for once in my whole entire existence, I don't mind penalties as an England fan. If this is the way we're going to keep scoring them, we'll wrap it up there, lads. Big thank you to the boys. Obviously, you can check out their individual channels, constantly uploading the best content in football YouTube. Hit that like button if you haven't already. Subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one. Cheers.